Good morning. My name is Danny Mendenhall, and I just wanted to put this video together for all of you that are considering homeschooling. There are a lot of you right now, which is really exciting. So anyway, I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. The first part of the video, I'm going to talk about homeschooling in general, and then the second part, I will talk about Cedar Haven Arts Academy. I am the director there, and it's a co-op of families that homeschool and work together. So the first part will be a little more generic. The second part will be specifics about our co-op and ways that you could get involved if that's something you are interested in. As I said, my name is Danny Mendenhall. I am the mom of 5. 4 are in high school this year, and then I have a 5th grader. We have been homeschooling for, goodness, I don't know, 13 years, 14 years, I don't know. Depends on if you want to count preschool or not. We are a blend of adopted children and biological children, lots of special needs. So our homeschooling journey is a bit adventurous, I guess you could say, but it's a lot of fun. And I have found that homeschooling has been a great choice for all 5 of my children, and sometimes for very different reasons. It's also been a great choice for me as a mom. I really love being involved with my kids and their education and having some flexibility to run my family the way that works best for all of us, and not really have a whole lot of outside influences on how we want our day to be, how our week, our year, all of that. We can kind of chart a course for ourselves. So homeschooling is a great tool. I'm excited that so many of you are considering it. And hopefully this can be a little bit of a help to you. So the first thing I want to say is, of course, welcome. Homeschooling in Boone County is vibrant. It's thriving. Pre-pandemic, it was already one of the highest percentages in the nation for students who are homeschooled, and I think you can see that all around us. The options for homeschoolers here are just tremendous. It's awesome. We moved here from Arizona 7 years ago, and it was pretty cool to come here and see how many homeschool specific options my children had. Not a lot of people get that. And then now, in some ways those options have diminished because of COVID, but in other ways they have flourished. And so you're going to see that this is a great place to homeschool. You are definitely not alone. There are a lot of us. So anyway, hopefully you get to meet a bunch of us. It's a fun group. We have a lot of fun together. One of the perks, as I already mentioned with homeschooling, is that there is a lot of flexibility and freedom. Kentucky does a great job of supporting homeschool families and giving them options on how they can teach their children best. It doesn't have to be formulaic. There are lots of options out there, and not only does Kentucky give us that freedom, but there are just, more choices than I can get into right now. Just so many choices of curriculums and options and ways that you can put it all together that works best for your family. There are curriculums where it's a whole set, where all of your subjects, everything you need for a child or for your family can be together, or there are curriculums that it's just subject by subject, and some people do kind of a mix of those things. In fact, the longer you homeschool, the more likely you are to be using kind of a mix of different curriculums and different strategies, because you get to know your kids really well. You get to know what works best for your schedule and your family, and so you end up kind of mixing everything together, which is really a lot of fun, but can be a little daunting to you new families. So I know that. So don't feel intimidated. There are ways to package it all together, and there are also ways to customize it to make it work for your family. So I guess my first piece of advice would be slow down. There is nothing that says that you have to start homeschooling with your exact curriculum you want to use and have it all together by Monday. That just isn't a thing. You don't have to worry. Slow down. Take some time. Breathe. Meet with friends. Go to the library and get a whole bunch of fun books and videos. Let your kids watch some Discovery Kids or whatever it is you enjoy, and take some time. Do some research. Don't rush into this. There is no reason to rush into a decision. There are plenty of options, and you don't want to spend money or time on something that's not going to work for your family. So slow down. Go on a field trip. Do whatever you need to do to unwind, and go drink a cup of tea and don't stress this yet. There is just no reason to rush into a decision. So like I said, some things to do in the meantime. Books. There are great videos out there that are super educational. Entire groups are dedicated to educational games, educational videos and movies and activities. Tons of field trips. The weather is still nice out. Go to the zoo, things like that. Use this time to unwind and connect as a family while you start making decisions about the long-term plan for your family. Take the advice of some of your friends. Listen to what they're doing. I have a book, and it's out on loan right now. I've loaned it out a lot this last year. There is a book called So You're Thinking About Homeschooling by Lisa Welchel. If you go to the library, sometimes they have it, but a lot of the times at the library, what they have are these like big old hefty books, everything you need to know about homeschooling, and they're great. They are filled with amazing information, but that's not a great starting point because, they're this thick. It's a little crazy. And so I always recommend this book. It's short. It's, size of a novel. And what it does is I think it has between 10 and 15 chapters, and each chapter is designed and written in a way that it's like you're sitting down to coffee or tea with a fellow homeschooler, and they talk to you about why they chose to homeschool, what kind of curriculum they use, what a typical day looks like. And every chapter is actually quite different because there are so many different ways to homeschool. Each chapter is very different, and you can kind of get a feel, and it's not as much on the philosophies and educational methods and all of that. You can get to that. There's plenty of information on that. This is super informal. It gives you a feel of what their day looks like, what their interests are, and how that curriculum feeds into it. So I have found that most families that start with this book, they can really identify with one of the families. They say, wow, I could see that working for us. That's kind of how I think about education, or that's kind of how I think about our day. I could see that working for us. So that's a great book. If you can find it, half price, Amazon, occasionally libraries have it. So You're Thinking About Homeschooling by Lisa Welchel. Great starting point, way less pressure than some of those big old hefty books that you can get to later. The other thing that I highly, highly, highly recommend is HSLDA, Homeschool Legal Defense Association. They are an organization dedicated to protecting the legal rights of parents and homeschoolers. It's made up of a ton of lawyers and people who specialize in politics. What happens is you subscribe for a year, you become a member, and if there were to be any legal troubles with your local school district or anything like that, they provide legal consultation for you. They will provide counsel for you if you need that, all of that. Their website is filled with great information, and since a lot of that is volunteer, they also use the money from a lot of this and any additional donations that you make to help with lobbying for parental rights at all levels of government. They are involved in all 50 states and at the federal level, and they work hard for families to have the right to parent and teach their children as they see fit. Great organization, and especially right now, given the climate, HSLDA is a great investment. So look at them. They're awesome. I think you'll really like them. If you are in the northern Kentucky area or the Greater Cincinnati area, that's where I am, there are some specific resources for you here. There is a Facebook group called OINK, O-I-N-K. It stands for Ohio, Indiana, Northern Kentucky. This is a great Facebook group for homeschoolers in the Greater Cincinnati area. Lots of posts on there about local opportunities and co-ops and all kinds of things. And it's just a great place where you can ask questions and get a plethora of answers from a variety of sources, and make connections, make friends. They also, once you're on the OINK page, you can join their buy-sell trade group, which, especially those of you who are new, that could be a great place to start picking up some curriculum and resources at a discount. We're big buy used people here in this family. And so that can be a great place. And then you can even ask questions of the people who own it. So anyway, that is a great thing. Also, Answers in Genesis here in this northern Kentucky area, they offer a lot of homeschool opportunities, science days, science camps, classes for high schoolers, all kinds of things. And then we are really blessed here, both the Boone County, in general, their recreation department and all of that, and our Boone County library system, they're very wonderful to work with. Lots of resources, lots of opportunities. So get connected with them. They have homeschool specific things, and then they also have just other ways that you can get connected. 4-H, American Heritage Girls. I mean, they're just so many groups in this area. There's a group called The Works on Facebook, if you can find them. Melissa Heltman runs that, and those are people who are putting together field trips and events for homeschoolers. So getting connected with all of them, awesome opportunity. Okay, next thing I want to say is co-op. Co-op, you're going to hear that word a lot. It's big in homeschooling. Find one. These are great. They are a great resource, and you don't want to miss out on this. It can feel very lonely sometimes, homeschooling, because everything you're doing is unique to your family, and so you can begin to feel disjointed from the world if you let it. And co-op is a great place to just connect, create friendships, and they are amazing friendships. I mean, just so deep. It's whole family, all ages, parents, the kids get involved. And so anyway, I just find that to be such a great blessing because whole families connect and you end up doing life together, and that really is more important than anything else that we are able to do at co-op. There are a lot in this area. And most places have quite a few, but if you're in the Greater Cincinnati area, I mean, goodness, there are just a lot of choices. I know it's a little late in the summer, so you're going to find that a lot of them are on wait lists, are full for this coming semester and things like that. But don't get discouraged. New ones are popping up everywhere, and some of them do still have openings. So keep reaching out. You know, I've talked to a few families that reached out to a handful of co-ops and started getting discouraged because they didn't seem like the right fit or they were full. And I said, just keep going. There are so many more. There are just so many co-ops. Some of them are more full curriculum. You have things like classical conversations and some of the others where everybody's doing pretty much the same thing at home. You're using a similar curriculum or this exact same curriculum, and then when you get together, you're discussing those specific things. There are great ones for that. That has a great support network to it when you join a co-op that is curriculum-based. But most of them are going to be, I refer to them all the time as pick and choose co-ops. Pick and choose. So they just have a list. I can show you an example of ours. So this looks confusing, but it's not. They're just a list. You know, these are all of the classes offered for 4th through 6th graders. So, you know, from 9 to 10, they have 3 choices. So you pick which classes you want your kids to take. You have a full day that you can pick from, and it keeps your kids busy and a lot of fun, make new friends. Some classes will have homework, some classes won't, some are electives and some are core, and again, that really depends on the co-op that you pick. Some focus just on electives and let core subjects be what you do at home, and some incorporate a little bit of both. Lots of fun options. Co-ops tend to have more of a theme, and the more you can get to know the people in charge of it, the more you can get an idea of the types of classes that they're looking for and the types of activities that fit that group the best. Then there are some groups, kind of like the works I just talked about, that really just focus on play dates or field trips or activities, and they're less about classes. All of these are great options, and depending on what you are looking for, I'm sure you can find a group that fits those needs. I get a lot of questions about sports, and honestly, it's a weird answer sometimes, but it's a great answer. Sometimes your co-op will have sports. Like I said, I'm the director of Cedar Haven. We have lots of classes on dance, and this semester we're going to have an introduction to basketball class. We have tumbling for our younger kids. So there are opportunities sometimes within a co-op for your kids to get physical activity. We have a fitness class, things like that. And I know a lot of groups will do that, a PE class or things like that. So ways you can get your kids active. If you're looking for homeschool specific sports, there are a few. If you're willing to travel into Cincinnati, there are several teams and organizations that work with homeschoolers, both competitive and non-competitive. Here in this area, there are a few as well. One that is quite interesting is Heart and Soul Skippers. This is a performance jump rope team. I've got 3 of my kids that are on that team. Again, Melissa Heltman, awesome homeschool mom. They do all kinds of crazy tricks. I mean, I did not even realize how much you can do with a jump rope until my kids joined this group. And it is all homeschoolers. And then a lot of people that you already know in this area will offer homeschool specific classes. Now, your kids don't have to take the homeschool specific ones, but places like Christian Dance Academy and several of the martial arts places and things like that, they offer their classes, but during homeschool hours, during the day, instead of in the evening. So you can do evening classes, and then some places will have afternoon classes, and you're just with other homeschoolers. So again, the perks of that would be smaller class sizes typically in a less crowded building. Then you get your family evenings together. You're not out and about as much in the evenings, and also a chance to meet other families that are doing the same thing as you right now. So very cool. So anyway, I'm just gonna wrap it up with take a breath, have some fun, meet some people first, do some research, and then good luck. I wish you all the best. I think this is going to be a great year for a lot of us. It feels stressful right now for some of us, but honestly, it's shaping up to be a great year for so many of these co-ops and organizations. So don't stress. Go meet with some friends and get connected. It's a beautiful community here. You're going to love it, I promise. All right, so I'm going to wrap up that portion of what I wanted to say. If you're still with me and you want information specific to Cedar Haven, that's what I'm going to start talking about now. I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible. The truth is, we've gotten a lot of requests to join Cedar Haven in the last couple of weeks. And I'm struggling to stay on top of answering everybody's questions, but I am finding I'm answering the same questions over and over again. So this video is going to serve as kind of an intro. I'm going to keep it as brief as I can and start by saying we are going to do an informational meeting not quite a week from now, next Thursday. That is on August 26th at 4:30 p.m. We're going to do an informational meeting about Cedar Haven. So watching this video, reading our documents online, coming to that informational meeting, that's really going to help you. And we'll have about 2.5 weeks until co-op starts at that point. We start after Labor Day. A lot of co-ops start after Labor Day. And so that'll still give you a couple of weeks to really figure out what you want to do and all of that. So I highly encourage you, if you watch this video, you read our documents, you're still very interested in Cedar Haven, come to the informational meeting, meet some of our moms, members of our board will all be there, and we're more than happy to help you make a great decision for your kids. Please know that Cedar Haven is not going to necessarily be the perfect fit for everybody. That's one of the perks of all these different co-ops and styles of teaching is that we can be a little bit more individualized. We do not take it personally when you go, cool, not for us. Awesome. We want you to find what's best for you. That's part of why I wanted to do this. People are excited about a couple of things, but then they dive in and they realize, oh, that's not exactly what I thought I was getting into. So we don't want that to happen. We want stability for you and your family. So here's some information on Cedar Haven Arts Academy. We are a co-op. We are considering ourselves a hybrid program, meaning that we have 1 and 2 day a week options, especially, so our younger kids only can come on Mondays, but our 4th through 12th graders can come on Mondays or Fridays, or both. We have classes that are offered both days. And we're trying to still grow that. We understand that families have different levels of need. And so for this coming school year, we have a 1 or 2 day option. And we try to offer as many things as possible to help lighten the burden at home and streamline this process for your families. We meet at First Church of Christ in Burlington on Mondays. Amazing facility. They have been generous and kind with us, and it's really a great opportunity. They have a gym with a stage in it, so our theater classes and dance classes are just able to thrive. And then on Fridays, since it's just the older kids, it's a little bit more of an intimate setting. That's when we tend to do our book clubs and some of the more intimate style of classes. And those meet right here at my house, and it's a lot of fun. We're able to connect in a great way. So anyway, a little bit about our philosophy. I would consider history to be kind of the backbone of what we do, and that sounds massively uninteresting to a lot of people, and I know that. But we tend to use history as kind of that behind the scenes backbone holding up what we do. My degree is in history with a minor in English, so we love books and literature, and we love history, and we love infusing it into what we do, creating immersive experiences for our students. So we talk about like history being the backbone of what we do, and then the arts are really those nerves that reach out. We have 6 branches of art that we like to emphasize here: fine arts, performing arts, literary, culinary and botanical, textile and aesthetic, and technical. If you go on our page, there's a lot more information about the types of classes that are offered in each of those categories. At the younger ages, we really encourage students to take classes in as many branches of art as possible to see the interconnectedness of all of it. And then as they get older, they start specializing in those things where their talents and interests lie. But we do offer classes in all 6 branches of art. And we value each of those. We use those to then teach what would normally be considered kind of your core subjects. Now, we tend to take a unit approach. We tend to think of subjects as not being separate things. You can't teach history without English, and English really isn't helpful without history, and math and science, and all of these things. They're actually very, very intertwined, and art ties them together in so many beautiful ways. So, for example, let's say we're looking at the Civil War with some of our younger kids. You're going to find that we teach it using excellent literature. We love books, love books. And we're also going to be using things like clothing from the era, music, art, food. We cook food from that era. We're going to use all of the arts to help create, again, that immersive experience for your children so that they get a feel of what it was like at that time. It's not textbook. We don't like textbooks. We tend to take a kind of a funky approach to teaching. So using the arts to teach great things, using art projects to express the things that we've learned. Essays are great. You'll hear us talking about that too. But other forms of creative writing can also show that you have learned the material, and so can artwork. So can creating an interpretive art piece from all kinds of different media, dancing, costumes, makeup and hair even, can be used to express the things that you have learned. And so we give kids the opportunity to demonstrate what they've learned in a variety of ways, experience it and demonstrate it in a variety of ways. One of the big questions I get is, are we a Christian co-op? Absolutely. We are unashamedly believers in Christ, and you will see that infused in everything that we do. It is a prime motivator for what we do. I'm going to read a little bit from our statement of faith, just so that you have an idea. But I want to start by saying that our statement of faith is designed to illustrate the intent of Cedar Haven. We welcome all families that are willing to respect these views as outlined, even if they do not fully reflect their personal worship. Respect is shown by not promoting or teaching ideas that are contrary to those given, whether in word or deed. So basically what we're saying is we're going to teach from this viewpoint of Christianity. And we expect that people that sign on with us will be respectful of that. But we do not require that you personally are a Christian necessarily, and we definitely welcome all kinds of denominations. In fact, our board, there are 7 of us, and all 7 of us attend different churches. So we want to start by saying that we are a welcoming place. We do not exclude based on faith, but please know that we will not alter what we teach to accommodate that. We will teach from the viewpoint of the Bible. So, like I said, we are believers in Christ. We are believers in the Bible. We will teach from that. Some of the verses, if you want to look up some of our motivation, I would recommend looking at Acts 2:42, Matthew 22:37 through 40, and Matthew 5:16. Those verses can give you a great idea of how we view our mission as believers in our families, in our community, and amongst homeschoolers. Our curriculum is selected with these things in mind. So again, you do not have to believe everything that we teach. In fact, good luck finding any 2 families that believe exactly the same thing. But we will not alter that. So please be aware that if you sign your kids up for our classes, they will be taught from a biblical standpoint. Okay, so that's a little bit about that, and feel free to ask more questions about that as you get to know us. Some other primary influences. As I said, the Bible, number 1 for us. If you're looking at educational philosophy, we really love the teachings of Ruth Beechick, Charlotte Mason, Friedrich Froebel, Dennis Littke. All of those have played a role in that. I brought a couple of books over to show you. So this is a book by Dennis Littke. It's called The Big Picture. You're going to find that what we glean from him is an approach that is community-based, that your child is a part of the overarching community, and also lots of internships and things like that. Getting our kids involved in the big picture of our community. An author that we really, really love around here is Sally Clarkson. This is called The Life-Giving Home. So again, this is all about infusing art and a love for art, and again, in a variety of ways. Food, music, clothing, all of those things. Just this beautiful environment that we can create because God really wove everything together so intricately and so beautifully. He is the ultimate artist. And so we try to create an environment that really honors our beautiful creator and the beautiful world he gave us, and helping to enrich that. One of my favorite books. This is called Inventing Kindergarten. It's big. It's actually more of a coffee table style book. So I love this for looking at early childhood education in particular. Friedrich Froebel is the inventor of the original kindergarten. Brilliant mind, and interesting story. The way he taught kindergarten created some of the greatest minds in cultural history, and really doesn't look much like what we think kindergarten is now. So awesome book, and you'll hear us referencing that quite a bit. From a doctrinal standpoint, you're going to hear us talking a lot about A.W. Tozer and C.S. Lewis. Amazing writers. Personally, I'm a huge fan of John and Stacey Eldridge and the work that they do. So those are some of our influences if you want to look into any of that. And if you come to the informational meeting, I will have books out for you to look through as well. And then, that probably covers influences, right? That feels good. Okay, topics that are important to us. So I'm going to read a little portion from our goals sheet that really, anyway, this concept of love, you're going to hear us talk about quite a bit. So I'm going to read from our goals page here. Foundation to the education of children is to first cultivate love. A child must love books before they learn to read. A child must love nature before they learn science. A child must love creating before they can learn artistic technique. A child must love God before anything else has meaning. So you won't hear us rushing children to a particular academic goal. Rather, that we want them to love learning for itself and to be able to find those tools. They have the rest of their lives to figure out battles of the Civil War, if that's something that's interesting to them. But if they don't first have an appreciation for history, an appreciation for the lives of those people, then we're feeding them facts and figures that aren't going to matter to them, and they're probably going to forget them really quickly. So cultivating a love of learning first. And then once they are just all sold out for wanting to know and grow, then all those facts, they're going to layer right on top of that, and the kids are just going to absorb them like sponges. So creating a love of learning first. One of the things that we emphasize quite a bit in our group is American Sign Language, or sign language in general. This is because of a multitude of factors. One, our hearts are for being able to communicate with these people. Sign language is actually a pretty prevalent language, and we want to be able to communicate with them. So we emphasize learning sign language. And part of that also is we feel like our students, because they are these art-minded students, they are specifically gifted in this area. So we want to use their natural giftedness to teach them a very usable and practical skill. Sign language in and of itself, all languages I think are artistic. They're beautiful. I love the study of them. They're growing and thriving, and I love it. Sign language is unique in that our dancers and our creators, they can put more of who they are into it. There's more of an expression than just words alone. And so sign language is great for that. And we feel like those skills that they learn from learning sign language translate into other things as well. Those expressivenesses, that expressiveness that they learn, and body awareness, it does translate into their other art forms, specifically things like theater or dance. It is a usable skill, and it is a beautiful skill, and it is one that we talk about a lot. We are continuing to grow that program and develop it all the time. We love teaching about American history and the Constitution, and we love teaching about financial independence and understanding. So our kids take classes like Dave Ramsey's personal finance and things like that. We really encourage people to be able to handle their own finances, starting with students as young as possible. Money is not a problem that's just going to go away at some point. So these kids need those resources. Okay, so right now we are primarily a pick and choose curriculum, which I already talked about, but we are slowly growing. So we're using these first years to kind of introduce our methodology in gentle ways, and then we're slowly going to be growing that hybrid program to involve a deeper relationship between history and the arts and what we do as a group. So you'll see a lot of that. What are your obligations if you were to join Cedar Haven? There is a cost associated. It's a smallish cost, depending on the size of your family and your financial needs. But we do, if you're just coming on Mondays, it's $25 a month. If you're just coming on Fridays, it's $15. And if you're coming both days, it's $30. That is to be a part of the co-op. Now, different classes have different fees associated with them. So those costs just cover the infrastructure, paying rent to the church, providing all of the resources that we have that are generic to the whole co-op. Then classes charge fees that are specific to that class. So if it's an art class, you will either need to buy some of the supplies or pay a fee for those supplies. Each teacher, when they submit their classes to the board, they include the cost that it's going to take. So, depending on what classes you take, the costs can be higher or lower. We do have scholarships available. It's a little late in the summer, so I can't promise scholarship money going into this fall, but we do have a little bit to play with still, so it's not off the table. And then definitely going into the spring semester next year, things like that. We do have scholarships available to our families. If you are not already a part of the Cedar Haven Facebook page, feel free to request to join that. And also, always feel free to message me with any questions. I think I touched on most of the things I wanted to. I'm sure there's a lot more, and I also am sure I overshared in other ways. It is what it is. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful, and I really do. I wish you guys all the luck this coming school year. Us mamas, we're all here to support all of you. And feel free to pick our brains. Like I said, we have 7 people on the board here at Cedar Haven. Between us, we have decades and decades of experience homeschooling. So pick our brains. Come meet with us. Even if Cedar Haven doesn't sound like the best fit for you, these moms are amazing. They have a lot of wisdom that they can impart. So yeah, connect, have fun, don't stress. It's going to be a beautiful year. All right, bye.